It's all about living animals. Well, I used to make a comic strip about a pig that was roommates with a Canada goose. They were living in the real world, and it's like both of them could be food, but they're not cooked, so they're underdone.
Dans le premier épisode, vous avez découvert le développement d'une mode durable. Dans le second épisode, celui d'un challenge pour nettoyer les plages. Aujourd'hui, Futuristik vous emmène à la rencontre de Rog, un dessinateur satirique qui, pour protéger la faune, vous dévoile ses secrets avec humour et intelligence.
In case I was out in the wilderness and I needed to snuggle up against something, I would snuggle up with a mammal because they're warmer. I think my favorite bird is the cassowary. I guess I'd have to go with a dung beetle.
Okay, now you gotta explain me, what is this?
They're the kind that follow herds of animals around and make balls out of it. Kind of have a history with them. What song would I be?
Yeah.
I would say a song by the Tree People called I Don't Miss You Now That You're Dead.
Is there any other language you speak, maybe?
Profanity. Kind of nervous, but I figured it wouldn't be a big deal. And it's not a big deal. And you're right, it's easy to talk to. It's like talking to an old friend. Bicycle, I guess? They are more fun to ride. Unless you're going uphill. But a lot of hills in Seattle. Very hilly.
Have you ever, were you spending your time in the garden looking for hunting bugs or anything? I don't know.
I've never been outside. No, I grew up with a big park in my backyard in Pennsylvania, and just always loved nature and had pets, all kinds of pets growing up. Turtles, newts, birds. I don't really like thinking about people and ideas. I'd rather make my ideas thinking about, the natural world. And I just think they're much more interesting and a bigger source of my creativity anyway than anything else. Actually, I communicate better while I'm drawing things.
I mean, you can be focused on two things at the same time.
Not really. It's just an excuse. Like when I used to work in offices and stuff, I'd say, oh yeah, I listen better when I'm drawing, but I don't know if that's true or not. It's probably not true. It's just because, meetings are so boring and I could just sit there. That was the secret to my success in school. Just sitting there and drawing, and the teachers would get very annoyed with me. I think they take it much more seriously in France than they do in the US. I personally was an English major in school, and I studied creative writing, and I think that's probably 80% of the work that I do. Like if I have an idea, it's all about getting as precise and succinct as possible, and then the picture just comes usually a lot easier than the actual idea. These are all my written ideas.
Wow!
From the week anyway.
Oh my god, it's beautiful!
So there's a lot more writing involved than actual artwork. I think. I worked at a publishing company where I learned how to do a lot of graphic design. So there's a ton of graphic design experience that helps me put together all of my comics really quickly. And then after that, I learned how to make websites and things. I did that for maybe 10 years or so. And then over the last few years, I decided just to focus more on the cartoon. But I mean, I've always been drawing and doodling the whole entire time, like from day one. I don't remember not doing that. So I don't know if I'm actually talented at it or just. I grew up always being interested and fascinated by them and reading lots of books. I remember doing like all these sticker books when I was really little about animals on the Serengeti plains and always wanting to read them. And then as I got older, I read more books and always watched lots of animal shows. And then I started reading science books. And one thing that always bored me about the shows, though, were like in the last few minutes, they would always talk about the conservation issues about each animal. But now I'm kind of making a career out of making that type of stuff more interesting, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know, like at the end of the show, they'd be like, so the hippo's habitat is shrinking tremendously because of human, and then I would probably turn it off when I was a kid, but now I'm trying to think of angles to make people interested in that. Do it while we're talking, just anything at all.
Wow. Yeah,
What?
go. If you feel like it, go.
Tuning and stuff, and I always try to make it somehow grounded in reality or real or, you know, edgy in some way, and to make it different. The successful ones, they just will do a slice of life joke, and everybody relates to it. It's all relatable. Ha ha, let's all enjoy it and share millions of times or whatever. But, you know, the stuff that I do, I try to have some sort of deeper meaning with it. And that, I think, is what makes a lot of what I do really good, but it also hinders the success. You know, holds it back. I feel like I really want to keep a wide general audience. I know there's a decent amount of teenagers on Instagram that follow me, so I don't know. I mean, I know teenagers know all of those words anyway, but if their parents happen to look, I don't want them to block me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Of course, it does make sense. Then, when would you be publishing your book, you think?
Oh, I have no idea. I would say probably sometime next year or something. I need to find a publisher. It just takes a really long time.
My question, in fact, was: have you any projects to make it bigger? I don't know, to get more audience to, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm working on putting a book together, and I'm gonna shop around with some publishers and things. So that's one thing. And also, I have some projects that I don't know if I can talk about yet, but it's a lot of more plastic pollution things, especially focusing in Southeast Asia, where most of it's being dumped into the ocean. Like, that's where the biggest problems are. So people from over there are contacting me to work with them. So that should be really fun.
Wow.
I'm a vegetarian. Actually, I am.
Oh, you are?
I for like the last 12 years, I think, I haven't eaten any no red meat, so no beef or no mammals is what I always would say. But then just this last year, I decided to go vegetarian, vegan actually.
Wow.
In the house, like, you kind of have to compromise outside of the house for veganism, you know. So we don't have any animal products to eat in the house, other than honey, which is delicious. I really like spiders a lot. Because there's so many spiders around here, I've really been enjoying watching them. And yeah, like there's one that lives above our toilet, and I just leave it alone, and it actually had a little thing of eggs, and it like spread its eggs, like an egg case is what it's called, I think. Or yeah, I think so. And then it spread all of its eggs out along its web, and then they all hatched one day. So there's like all these spiders crawling around.
Oh.
In Seattle, it's like Spider City. There's spiders everywhere.
I'm waiting for your drawing.
Wait a second.
What?
What did you say? Oh, sorry.
Oh God!
I also made some Bugs Party.
Some.
I'm trying to see if there's actual mountains in Stuttgart. That's all I'm doing right now. It looks pretty flat, so let me. Alright, so yeah, a pretty background with a housefly. Some sort of, what many people say is an ugly animal in the foreground, like a housefly. Something gross, with a beautiful background.
Okay.
Not necessarily in focus.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rob. Have a super nice day.